So we start with a 103 Frenched rib 12 by 12. The bones are left 12 inches by 12 inches from the eye out. What we will show you is how this cut becomes the beginning of our tomahawks, and more importantly, how it relates to the export rib we will cut our traditional cowboys and rib steaks from. So we start by removing the excess silver and fat from the inside of the bones. Once we have finished, we can see that at this point, if we were going to cut tomahawk chops, we would clean all the bones all the way off and start cutting tomahawks crossways in between the bones. However, the purpose of this demo is to show you how this piece of meat becomes what we refer to as an export rib. Once we remove the roughly 8 inches of bone you see here, the rest of the bone will be left on the export rib going forward. So the first thing we need to do is remove the chine. The chine is where the rib bones and feather bones connect. Next, we remove the remainder of the feather bones along with any additional fat and cartilage. Then we flip the rib and give the top a trim as well. Fun fact, the first cut of ribeye is also the first cut of a strip loin. So going forward from here would be your strip loin. As we begin to portion full bone rib steaks, we start at the chuck end, which tends to be the more square end. First step is a face cut to even things out. Now, we want to cut all of our steaks between 22 and 24 ounces. To ensure that consistency, we are going to start by cutting what is referred to as a boneless ribeye special cut, or a rib tweener steak. That comes from in between the bones as we portion out our cowboys. Now, we slice through our first rib, sticking close to the bone. We clean up the fat and shape it, and there you have it. A beautiful bone-in rib steak. The process repeats with a special cut, a slice, some detail work, and another perfect bone-in rib. With these done, it's time for some traditional cowboys. The term cowboy typically means Frenched, so we are going to start by slicing down over the bones and remove the cap. Next, we clean out the meat in between the bones. Sometimes this is called finger meat. As you can see, there is a slight variation in the bone length as we work from the chuck end to the loin end. So again, we cut a special and begin to process out our cowboys, making sure to clean the bone on each cut, leaving us with a beautiful Frenched cowboy steak. These last cowboys are enormous, so we're going to use the saw to cut them in half horizontally, turning one 40-ounce cowboy into two 20-ounce split-bone cowboy steaks. And there you have it. We went from a 103 rib to our export and finally our finished steaks, leaving us with ribeye special cuts, our 22 to 24 ounce full bone rib steaks, traditional Frenched cowboy steaks, and our split bone cowboys. Going from this to this in the hands of an Allen Brothers master butcher.